Everyone rushed past her. Cars were honking. Time was running out. An old woman stood frozen at the crosswalk, alone. Then a tall man stepped forward and quietly took her hand. No cameras. No bodyguards. No fame. People watched, but no one realized who he was. Not until the very end. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Now let's dive into what really happened. Nobody noticed him at first. The street was loud and restless, the kind of place where everyone was in a hurry, and no one had time to look twice. Cars rushed past in long lines, engines humming, horns breaking the air every few seconds. Pedestrians moved quickly, eyes locked on their phones, minds already somewhere else. At the corner of the crosswalk, an elderly woman stood completely still. She clutched her handbag tightly with both hands, her fingers trembling just a little. The traffic light blinked, counting down, but she didn't move. She had tried moments earlier, taking one careful step forward, then the rush of cars scared her back. The road felt too wide. The time felt too short. People walked past her without slowing down. Some noticed her and looked away. Others didn't notice her at all. She felt invisible. Then, quietly, a tall man in a simple jacket stepped closer and stopped beside her. He didn't rush. He didn't make a show of it. He just stood there, calm and steady, as if the noise of the street didn't exist. No cameras followed him. No crowd gathered. No security stood nearby. Just a calm presence next to a woman who needed help. "Take your time," he said gently, his voice soft but confident. "I'll walk with you." The woman looked up, surprised. She studied his face for a moment, searching for familiarity, but found none. To her, he wasn't important or famous. He was simply a kind stranger offering help when no one else did. She nodded slowly, feeling a small sense of relief. What no one on that busy street realized was that they were about to witness something rare. Not a performance, not a headline moment, but true greatness shown quietly, without applause, and without an audience. The traffic light turned green. For a brief moment, the street seemed to pause, but the noise didn't stop. Cars slowed, engines humming impatiently, tires rolling forward just enough to make the crossing feel uncertain. It was not the kind of green light that felt welcoming. It felt rushed. The man took a small step forward and positioned himself slightly between the woman and the road. He didn't touch her, didn't hurry her. His presence alone created a quiet shield of confidence, as if he was telling the world, "We're crossing now, and we're not in a hurry." Step by step, they moved together. People rushed past them on both sides. Some sighed. Some shook their heads. Others barely noticed at all. The world moved fast, and patience seemed to be in short supply. As they walked, the woman spoke softly, her voice almost lost in the sound of traffic. "My legs aren't what they used to be," she said with a nervous, apologetic smile. The man looked down at her kindly. "That's okay," he said. "We've got all the time we need." Halfway across the street, the light began to flash. A sharp horn cut through the air. For a moment, the woman froze. The man calmly raised his hand, not in anger, not in defiance, but as a simple signal for understanding. Something about the way he stood, steady and composed, made the driver stop. The noise faded, and the street felt quieter. They reached the other side safely. The woman let out a deep breath she didn't realize she had been holding. Relief washed over her face. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "Most people don't stop anymore." The man smiled, warm and genuine. "Someone always should." And in that moment, kindness spoke louder than any horn ever could. They paused on the sidewalk, just beyond the crosswalk. The noise of traffic continued behind them, but for a moment, the space around them felt calm. The woman adjusted her coat, smoothing it down as if catching her breath not just physically, but emotionally too. She looked up at the man again, studying his face more carefully this time. "You have a kind face," she said with a gentle smile. "What do you do for a living, young man?" He laughed softly, almost shyly. I used to play basketball. Her eyes brightened with mild interest. Oh? For a local team? Something like that, he replied, smiling but offering no details. A few steps away, a teenage boy had slowed to a stop. At first, he was just curious. Then his eyebrows lifted. His steps froze completely. He leaned toward his friend and whispered, barely able to contain his shock. Wait, is that who I think it is? The man noticed the stares forming around him. He felt the attention shifting, growing heavier, but he chose not to acknowledge it. He kept his focus on the woman in front of him. Unaware of what was happening around them, she continued speaking. Well, whoever you are, she said warmly, your parents raised you right. That sentence stopped him. For a brief moment, the noise of the city faded. He lowered his eyes slightly, the smile on his face softening into something more thoughtful. They tried, he said quietly. The woman reached out and gently patted his arm, a simple gesture filled with sincerity. The world needs more men like you, she said. He nodded, deeply moved, not by recognition, but by words spoken without knowing who he really was. And sometimes those are the words that matter most. A small group had formed now. It happened naturally, without noise or excitement. People slowed their steps. Conversations faded. A few phones came out, not aggressively, not for attention, but carefully, as if no one wanted to interrupt the moment. Faces showed the same expression, recognition mixed with disbelief. There was something familiar about the man's posture, his height, his calm presence. It wasn't just his face, it was the way he carried himself. Finally, someone whispered it. Then someone else said it louder. That's Michael Jordan. The woman frowned, clearly confused. She looked from the crowd back to the man standing beside her. Michael, who? She asked gently, still not understanding. The man sighed softly and smiled at her, kind and patient. It's okay, he said. It doesn't matter. But the crowd knew. They weren't watching a celebrity seeking attention. They weren't seeing a legend signing autographs or standing under bright lights. They were witnessing something far more powerful, someone choosing kindness over recognition. The woman studied his face again. Slowly, the realization settled in. Her eyes widened. You mean, the Michael Jordan? She whispered. He nodded gently. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my goodness, she said, her voice shaking. And here I was thinking you were just a nice man. He laughed softly. I hope I still am. Tears filled her eyes, not from shock, but from emotion. You didn't have to stop, she said. You could have walked right past me. As he finally turned to leave, something unexpected happened. The small crowd that had gathered began to applaud, not loudly at first, but steadily. It wasn't the kind of applause reserved for victories or celebrations. It was quieter, respectful, honest. They weren't applauding championships. They weren't applauding trophies. They were applauding character. He acknowledged them with a small nod and continued walking, disappearing into the crowd as simply as he had arrived. Later, the moment would spread online. People would share it, comment on it, and talk about it. But the power of that moment didn't come from fame or recognition. It came from what it reminded people of. That real greatness doesn't announce itself. It shows up quietly. Without cameras. Without applause. Not when millions are watching, but when one person needs help. Michael Jordan didn't help that woman because he was famous. He didn't do it for attention or praise. He did it because it was the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, beyond the titles and the legacy, he was simply human. And that's the part of the story no highlight reel can ever capture. Closing line for YouTube. Sometimes the greatest legacy isn't built on courts or stages, but at a crosswalk, with patience, humility, and heart.